What's up, guys and gals? My name is Eclepid, and welcome. Oh, what's up, guys and gals? My name is Eclepid, and welcome back to Remember11. Cool. I'm getting an error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't know about that, but we'll see how it goes. I have the chat up, and what's up, April? At any rate, let's get right back into this. Oh shit. Here's where we were. Where is it the safest? Where is it the safest? Where is it the safest? Fuck. Head toward the main entrance or run to a private room. That's right. When I was last playing this, I got real freaked out over this. Oh, let's see. You know what? Yeah, I know. Cliffhangers for days. But now we're back. My microphone's peaking a little, so I'm gonna slide it down a little. To 3.7. That's probably better. Test. I'm trying to see what volume. Trying to see if that messes up. Nope, that's good. Keeps my settings working. Alright, I have a feeling if we run into a private room, we're gonna get fucking cornered and murked. So let's not do that. Let's, oh fuck. Oh shit. I said we weren't going to do that and I accidentally did it. What do? I guess continue with it. I'll take refuge in someone's room and die. If I lock myself in and bar the door, I should be able to escape my pursuer. I think this is a bad idea. But whose room? Satoru's room. I didn't stop to consider anywhere else. In this situation, I couldn't trust anyone. Keeping a sharp lookout, I made for Satoru's room. I feel like I should undo that. But I made the choice. Regardless, it was an accident. I meant to press down on the arrow, accidentally hit the enter key and said, "It is what it is. If we're dead, we die." I feel like this was the wrong decision by far. Closing the door, I lock it behind me. I should be safe now. Fuck. Maybe that was the better idea, I don't know. But I feel like somebody's in the room with us right now. As I say that, I'm turning my head just to look in my room, making sure there's nobody behind me. Just as relief had set in, my fear from before had begun to return bit by bit. As I crumbled to the ground, my strength drained. I couldn't put any power into my torso. My body quivered. The spell of tension broken, the pain in my left arm began to sharpen. Softly touching it, I felt something slippery. It was blood. Oh, fuck! Oh, ho, 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 ho. Kill me. Oh my gosh, I knew this was a bad idea. I jumped. Someone was in the room. I stopped mid-sentence and hurriedly snapped my mouth shut. Why was Utsumi in Satoru's room? Help! Ah! Get away from me! The presence of the one I recognize as Utsumi moved. I didn't mean to do this, I swear. I meant to run to the entrance. Never lock yourself in a room when you're running away. Shit. Ah! Go away! She was walking toward me. What do I do? Should I run? Can I trust Utsumi? What if Utsumi was the one chasing me? She would have had plenty of time to sneak in while I was running toward this room. I couldn't deny the possibility that she's the pursuer waiting to ambush me. But if that was true, and Utsumi wasn't the culprit, if she left this room, she would be stepping directly into the path of a certain danger. Oh my gosh! Get away from me! Get away from me! No, step away. Step away from my buddy. Step away. Utsumi's presence pressed in further, now almost right in front of me. What do I do? Who should I believe? What should I believe? I don't know. I shut my eyes tight. Oh, fuck! I slowly opened my eyes. Does she have a knife? No knife. Just as Utsumi said, the electricity was back. To my eyes, which had been accustomed to the dark, it was blinding, so I shielded my eyes with my hand. The clock on the table entered my field of vision, 7:43. Because Satoru had said, please check the time, I had unconsciously become sensitive to the presence of clocks. Had it been about 10 minutes since the transfer? If that was the case, the last transfer happened at 7:33. Utsumi's face went pale and she rushed over to me. I inadvertently tensed. My arm. Yes. I looked at my left arm as well, and I was profoundly shocked. Or more accurately, Satoru's left arm was dyed a deep red. You can't hear game audio? Fuck. Fuck. Should I restart? I'm gonna fix that. Thanks for letting me know. Why can you not hear game audio? It's fucking weird. Not only... Okay, cool. I guess my my reactions were just that intense. Not only that, there were drops forming on my fingers that had dripped to the floor. The OST was scaring the shit out of me too. This is spooky as fuck. Many bloodstains had already formed there. I grew dizzy. It felt like I was going to go anemic. My left arm already felt like it was burning. The pain reverberated through my entire body. Yes, we do. We really do. Separating from me, Utsumi quickly made to leave the room. I panicked and grabbed Utsumi's arm, pulling her back. Utsumi turned back toward me with suspicion. Silence enveloped the room. I had to say it. Utsumi stayed silent. She was probably contemplating who the criminal was. She's actually probably contemplating if we're insane. Other than me and myself. Me and myself? We are two people after all. Other than myself and Utsumi, only Yuni and Inubushi currently in Sphia. Seeing as I was attacked, I'm obviously exempt, meaning it was one of the remaining three. Yuni's a child, and he's a really good kid, so there's no way he'd attack me. I don't know about that. That's what I'd like to think, but I don't have any proof. I think in a wary corner in my mind. The child called Yuni is somehow unnatural. Especially about the way he speaks. There's something strangely out of place about it. Come to think of it, when we were reunited, he said, and I wanted to see you, and... Wait. That's the Yuni of the shelter cabin, it isn't the Sphia Yuni. But are the Yuni in the mountain hut and the Yuni in Sphia even the same person? No. Everything related to Yuni was full of mysteries. I think of him as a really good kid, but he might possess something I'm not aware of. As for Inubushi and Utsumi, they're even more suspicious than Yuni. If Inubushi Keiko wakes up, then that would mean the awakening of the murderous monster. On the other hand, it really seems strange for Utsumi to have been in Satoru's room. I took a good look at Utsumi. I almost let out a scream. Utsumi's palms, her palms are... covered in fucking blood. As I thought, was she the one who... I took quick inventory of the room. I didn't see anything especially out of place. There weren't any knives wet with blood or anything lying around. She probably touched your arm, but... I don't know. She's scared as fuck now. Could this kind-looking woman really have done it? Something so terrible? I couldn't even picture Utsumi brandishing a knife. Utsumi seemed to notice that her hands were covered in blood as well. Taken aback, she looked at her hands. With both hands? Utsumi's face grew resentful. Jesus, help. The atmosphere of the room instantly soured. This is fucking insane, guys. Utsumi and I stared fixedly at one another, both of us standing stock still. Was this the right decision? Running into this room? I wonder what would have happened if I didn't run into the room. Although I'm not changing anything, because, again, I don't know if this is linear or what, or how my actions affect what happens, so... Utsumi, I read that already. As she was trying to say something, as if she was trying to say something very difficult, Utsumi's timid voice cut in. Why are you asking that? 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 You want to see if you're in the clear? If we remember seeing you? I was bewildered. I wonder what she's talking about. Oh, no. That's bullshit. I knew she was going to say that from the start. I got angry. There's no way it was a hallucination. It's a fact that my left arm is wounded. But why? In other words, it appears that Utsumi's trying to say that Satoru had cut himself. Certainly I didn't see anyone. There isn't any proof. However, I don't think that Satoru would cut himself. Besides, he told me. It seems someone is after me. Utsumi shook her head as if troubled. This is crazy. This whole concept is fucking crazy. Because, like, everybody... We know that we're not fucking suffering from DIS. Or whatever it was. Dissociative Identity Disorder. DID. We know we're not suffering from that. Everybody else around us thinks we are, and we're just going with it because what else can we do? We can't get them to believe us that we're not. Just this thought this is just fucking creepy. This whole thing. Oh my gosh. Holy fuck. This is good. Oh, you let it slip. You let it slip. Utsumi shut her mouth in mid-sentence. Okay, I believe her. I believe her now. I believe she was not the one. She wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Unless she purposely made a mistake to throw us off. But I don't think the game is that big-brained. Inubushi Keiko. In other words, Utsumi wanted to say it was Inubushi Keiko. Yes, Inubushi was a rare example of a natural killer, murderous monster. If I'm trying to find out who attacked me, it's true that she'd be the most likely suspect. If she awoke, it wouldn't be weird for the Sophia to be turned into a stage of an unprecedented tragedy. I probably had a really serious look on my face. Utsumi gave a kind smile as to help me relax. Man. Why are there not more stories in games like this? This is insane. This is crazy good. $9.99 Virtue's Last Reward can't hold a fucking candle to this. Sorry if you like those games, but this is just so much better. Yes, we do. Don't go out. Utsumi unlocked the door and opened it just enough to peer outside and see what was happening. The figures of Yuni and Hotary were there in the kitchen. Both of them were mangled, hanging from the ceiling. Our tenses caused both Utsumi and I to give a start when we saw them. Either of them may be the one that attacked me. If I tried to act calm, I couldn't help but be aware of them. However, I didn't see anything especially suspicious. Of course, they weren't holding knives or anything, and there wasn't any trace of splattered blood on either of them. You see, it was a shark attack from the tsunami. Yuni said in exaggerated astonishment. It's only natural, I guess. In order to show my composure, I smiled. I couldn't smile. An intense pain runs through me. It didn't seem like the blood was stopping, and drops of it fell here and there as I walked, adding new bloodstains to the floor. Oh, don't worry, it's just a little fucking massive laceration. I mean, it's not gonna kill me if I lose too much blood or anything. Well, no, certainly not. Yuni seemed honestly uneasy. Then Utsumi patted Yuni's head gently while smiling. Though Utsumi's words made me feel gloomy, I forced a smile to my face. I broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. Yuni seemed to have accepted what Utsumi was saying. I myself can't accept it at all. The possibility that there's another culprit is too high, but I felt it wouldn't be any good if I were to say it out loud. What was that on the roof, like at the very beginning? Before the plane crashed. As Satoru, we were on the roof, and it looks like he was running from somebody. I don't know though. I didn't want to provoke the real culprit, and I don't want to suspect an innocent person. Just like Utsumi said, it isn't good to down people when you don't know anything yet. Right now, it's best if I just observe the situation. Utsumi dispensed instructions to Yuni and Hotary and then sat me down. Hotary came pattering up to me with the first aid kit. Judging from her panicked appearance, she was probably worried about me as well. Yuni was watching at a distance. Perhaps he wasn't good with blood. He probably couldn't do anything to treat me while they're bloody like that. Utsumi trotted over to the sink. Then, as if saying, "I'll do it myself," Hotary pointed at the tip of her own nose. Standing in front of me, she opened the first aid kit. Hotary's hands were clumsy. She was struggling to wrap the bandage. It got twisted halfway and a puzzled expression like a question mark raised to her face. But still, it was clear that she was trying her best. Without looking directly at the wound, Yuni worried over me. On the other hand, Utsumi was behind Hotary, cheering her on, and I suddenly remembered that out-of-place feeling. Utsumi called Hotary Hotary-chan very naturally, even though her real name was Inubushi Keiko. Are Hotary and Inubushi Keiko different enough to tell people apart, or different enough to tell apart at a single glance? Two personalities in one space. Or is it only that the Hotary personality has surfaced lately? Thinking along those lines, an unpleasant thought comes to mind. What if the girl before my eyes who's treating me right now wasn't Hotary but Inubushi Keiko? Or maybe Inubushi Keiko never had DID in the first place and she was only pretending she had DID from the beginning. The possibility of her being the one who attacked me grew remarkably higher. Not noticing my feels of unrest, Hotary let out a deep breath. This treatment was over before I knew it. My left arm was stiff from the bandage. It was really uneven. Hotary hung her head in embarrassment. Hotary smiled slightly at my words. Afterward, Utsumi wrapped the bandage again correctly and administered a painkiller. Thanks to that, the pain went way down, except my head became a little foggy. A side effect of the painkiller, most likely. I sat across the sofa and took a deep breath. Utsumi brought me a blanket. Utsumi also sat down on the sofa. Yuni and Hotary sat down as well, relief on their faces. During the conversation, Hotary watched us smiling. Among these three people is the one who attacked me. I don't think so. It seems unimaginable while looking at a calm scene like this, but it's certain that the culprit is among them. Who was it that attacked me? Pretty sure nobody. Honestly, if we're being honest here. Why? To what end? During the treatment, they all seemed extremely kind. Everyone worked as hard as they could to treat me, to treat Satoru with tender care. Underneath that mask of kindness, there's someone whose true nature is that of a killer. Who should I believe in? I couldn't trust anyone. I want to trust them, but I can't. There's no certainty. I can't be convinced. I feel like grabbing my head and screaming. Throb my arm hurt. Even with the painkiller, it pulsed with pain whenever I moved. What would happen to him? What would happen to him if I was killed while in this body? What will become of my existence? What will become of his existence? The anxiety remains inside my head. This world and that world. The newspaper, Yuni Inubushi, the personality transfer, and now there's attempted murder on top of that. It seemed that Yuni still wasn't used to being me being Fukao Kokoro inside Satoru's body. He frowned for a moment from his mistake. Once again, he stared into my face. Seeing Yuni's pure and guiltless smile, not gutless. I hung my head and smiled too. I don't believe that this smiling child is a killer. I don't want to believe it. Swallowing the uneasiness in my mind, I tried to act as normal as possible. 1 second. What did you do? Don't tell me you broke it in the first place. Although I don't have one on me. And Utsumi clapped her hands. Ugh. What happened to not being baited by food? I smiled bitterly. But still, I was genuinely enjoying this silly conversation. A gentle warmth spread through my distrustful heart. Even though this trivial everyday life was only natural until now. Ever since the plane crash, everything's gone mad. I want to go back, even a moment sooner, to those days spent laughing innocently. Yuni easily confessed how he'd done it. There really wasn't any reason for the power outage. The breaker on the panel had just been tripped. By who? Oh. No. It was probably due to the earthquake, was what Utsumi guessed. Although Yuni had told us he had fixed it, he really hadn't done anything but set the breaker back to how it was. That's why he didn't want to tell us so badly. His having said he fixed it with great confidence when he actually didn't do very much was probably embarrassing for him. By the way, it seems there was no whipped cream stored in Svea. So Yuni completely fell for Utsumi's lie. Thanks to that, it was a lot of work soothing Yuni out of his bad mood. It seems the panel was in the basement. I was attacked during the power outage with good timing. If the power outage wasn't caused by the earthquake, but by human hands, there might be a clue about my attacker. I went to take a look. The basement felt pleasantly cool. I used a pocket flashlight to examine the inside of the dimly lit room in detail. The switchboard was near the ceiling. I couldn't see it very well from below. The cardboard box feels so unreliable though. You know, this reminds me of the moment in Ever 17 where we're fixing the spoilers, by the way. Not really big spoilers, but when we're fixing the pressure valves, we have to figure out which way we're turning them, clockwise or counterclockwise. Feels like that, where this seems so innocuous, but it could actually be a pretty big difference in which one we pick. So I'm saving here. Scars taste like paranoia. Which should I choose? Let's look for a footstool. I'm not taking any risks here. I searched for something that looked like it could be used as a footstool, and I might find something else, something even more useful. I just so happened to find a wooden box of appropriate height, so I used it in place of a footstool. I peered into the switchboard. There was nothing particularly suspicious there. The switches were covered in dust, but there was only one with an imprint left by Yuni's thin finger. There were no other signs that it had been touched by other people. Was the breaker tripped by the earthquake after all? While tilting my head, I jumped down from the wooden box. At the moment I landed, I lost my balance. Oh? I made a decidedly unsightly landing, falling on my bottom. Tears of pain sprang to my eyes. Responding to Yuni's line with a wry smile, I feel a sensation similar to deja vu. I heard a similar line in the basement of the shelter cabin. I challenged him with the same question. Haha. I wonder what the Yuni here will answer. Line, bait, and hooked. I caught you. My heart jumped. I unintentionally began staring hard at Yuni's face. When I asked him what he meant, he only replied with before. It seems that was all he was going to reply with, no matter how many times I asked. Left with no other choice, I changed the question. Yuni's face instantly clouded over. The tone of his voice was devoid of the energy it just before. Okay, that's some right bullshit. That is some real bullshit. Just as I thought. I was convinced. That doesn't match up. That wouldn't match up with this being ahead in the future, unless he's lying. Because my hypothesis was, obviously, I thought it was pretty clear that now we're, like, a few years in the future, right? I thought that was kind of pretty obvious, but he's saying he crashed and woke up here, which doesn't match up with him waking up in the cabin. I was convinced. Even then, Yuni appeared as if he was about to cry. Behind his glasses, his eyes began to grow wet. Poor Yuni. A child this small thrown into such an unfair situation. I felt like taking him in my arms. However, I endured it, because if I hugged him, then I might have started to cry too. I intentionally tried to use a bright tone. He's about to say, "What? I'm a girl." I'm calling it. Yuni's expression grew complex. Fuyukawa Kokoro had entered Yukido Satoru. It was probably too difficult to erase that sense of incompatibility. As if trying to hide his tears, Yuni suddenly turned on his heel and ran up the stairs. Alone in the now quiet basement, I bit my lip, as I thought Yuni was teleporting. I didn't know if the timing was the same, but there was a high possibility that it was the same cycle as when we changed places. He's not teleporting! That's the most stupid idea I've ever heard. In other words, I never broke contact with this one Yuni. And another Yuni never broke contact with Satoru, or maybe there had never been another Yuni in the first place. This is getting so confusing. It would be better to try and confirm this with Satoru. Since it's him, he may have been able to reach some sort of answer. In this situation, no matter what anyone says, the only one I can put my absolute trust in is Satoru. Only Satoru, whom I'm unable to see or meet. Hey, what kind of person are you? I touched the bandage wrapped around my left arm and instantly jumped back in pain. I was certain that Satoru's wound wasn't self-inflicted. There was no reason. It was based on my intuition. My body shivered on remembering the fear I had felt in the darkness. No, that was wrong. There was no way it was a self-inflicted wound. Now go upstairs and stop isolating yourself in the basement. As if confirming the presence of its warmth, I suddenly rubbed my left arm. I returned to Satoru's private room. A dry blood stain remained near the entrance. With that unpleasant feeling, I sat down on the bed. I am so unsettled right now. Yeesh. I found a note on top of the desk. It was a message from Satoru. Panicking, I pick up the note. Hey, come on, Kokoro. He was mad all of a sudden. I got a little angry. The scrawled sentences continued. All you're gonna draw is a fucking bunny rabbit, you fucking idiot. Transfer at 1:07 p.m. That's it? That's all that is? Is this all you wanted to say? Certainly as a reply, what you wrote was wonderfully concise. You responded perfectly with what I had asked after all. I somehow understood what the illustration you attached meant too. But you know, isn't writing only one sentence a little bit cold? Can't you, I don't know, write something with a little bit more depth? We can't meet in person, but at least we're lucky enough to be able to exchange information, right? Wouldn't anyone try to make use of this? You agree, right? We're kind of like partners, you know? I unintentionally burst into laughter. Yep, I understood why he'd gotten angry. Sorry, seems like a guest has arrived. I'll continue writing later. Right, before I forget to write it. Did you already listen to the voice recorder in the shelter cabin? I'm mentioning it again, here just in case. It looks like someone's after me. Be careful. While I'm in the shelter cabin, I consider your body my top priority too. Well, then I'm counting on you, Kokoro. The part of me that says sorry seems like a guest has arrived bothers me. Guest? Was that guest the culprit that was after Satoru? It was just no use thinking about it. I sat down in front of the desk and attempted a serious reply. 1 second again. Cool. Hi, am Kokoro. Am idiot. Bye. That's my note. I picked up a pen and started a new note. I used a fresh sheet of paper. I've run into this problem again. Just fucking write, you fool. I wasn't very good at writing letters in the first place. Right. Salutations. Please forgive the lateness of my reply. I hope this letter finds you well. Just fucking find something to write. Well, with that said, something like Dear Satoru was way too embarrassing. It was somehow strangely awkward. I recalled when I was in elementary school writing my first love letter. In those days, my parents wouldn't buy me a cell phone. Therefore, I was a girl unfamiliar with email. In order to convey my feelings to the boy I liked, I wrote a letter analog on stationery. With my entire heart pounding into every letter, every line, I poured my entire spirit into what I wrote. Remembering it made me feel nostalgic but embarrassed at the same time. By the way, as to whether my love was requited or not, I'll silently lock that up in my heart. Now was not the time to get lost reminiscing. I held my pen and put my strength into my left hand. Sorry if you hear background noise, my roommates are being very loud. Come to think of it, my left arm was hurt. Even though I'm left-handed, I wouldn't be able to write anything like that. With no other option, I held the pen in my right hand. For the opening sentence, I decided to go with something simple and straightforward. Nice to meet you, Yukido-san. The characters looked like wiggling earthworms. Just fucking write. I crunched the memo paper into a ball and threw it behind me. But even so, my dominant arm was useless right now. I let out a sigh. What is so funny? People in the background. I took another stab at it. Ha, get it? Stab. Fuck off. That's incomprehensible. You're not funny. I felt like crying. I forced myself to go on, struggling against myself to continue writing. Sorry, I'm still here. Nice to meet you, Yukido-san. I wonder what I said I should write. There are so many things I wanted to write, but I can't seem to bring it all together very well. You could probably tell just by looking, but my handwriting is like this too. This might be difficult to read, so please forgive me. First off, I'll report all the important things to you. I've read all the messages that you've left me on this notepad. I was only able to listen to half of your message on the voice recorder left at the shelter cabin. But I was at least able to listen up to "It seems someone is after me." And about your left arm. The one who cut your left arm. That someone was the one who did it. That person tried to take away your life. In other words, that's how it is, right? But just who is that someone? Please explain in a little more detail what's happening with Satoru's body. Why is it that you believe someone is after you? Or then, did you say that on the shelter cabin's voice recorder too? I was only able to hear part of it, so I don't know. If by any chance you didn't record it there, please reply here. But about the culprit. The truth is, it's not as if I don't have any ideas. Here I hesitated to continue writing. I wasn't confident enough to think that it would be okay to write this. But in the meantime, as Satoru and I didn't properly share all our information between us, mysteries we would have been able to solve together would go unsolved. In the end, I stopped hesitating and continued to write. There's no reason to beat around the bush, so I'll just go ahead and write it. Suzukage Hotary-chan, you're aware that she has DID, right? Recently, she's been fixed in her Hotary personality, though. However, I don't think it'd be unusual for a hidden personality to awake at any time. And by her hidden personality, I mean the other personality within her. The personality that killed 12 people in Utsumi Hospital. It may be possible that that personality is targeting you, Satoru. I say that, but it's not as if I have any decisive evidence. It might not be appropriate to rate things like this, even though I don't have any real evidence. Even so, I don't think it would be going overboard just to give a warning. Be careful, just in case. Next, about Yuni. It's extremely complicated, so I can't say it very well. What should I do? That's right. Okay, first, there's something I need to ask you. Have you ever met a young boy by the name of Kusuru Yuni? You know, right now I'm thinking this. That maybe Yuni is teleporting. Teleporting is in both his body and consciousness are transferring together. And the timing of his teleportation is at the exact same time as when Satoru and I transfer. Do you get what I'm trying to say? In other words, at the same time I transfer back to Mount Akakura, Yuni's mind and body jump back to Mount Akakura as well. Because if that isn't so, I can't explain how Yuni could exist as two people at the same time. That's why, by my prediction, Satoru shouldn't have met Yuni even once. That's what I thought. Which is it really? Have you met Yuni or haven't you? Please tell me. And I have two more things I want you to tell me. The first is about Sophia. Satoru should know much more than I do about this facility, right? That's why I want you to tell me everything about Sophia. Like how to get outside and how to communicate with the outside world. The second is about the shelter cabin, and that time when I'm away from the cabin. Please tell me if anything important happens. I'm sorry. It feels like all I'm writing is please tell me, and things like that, huh? As an apology, here's the report. First about the earthquake. An earthquake occurred at Sophia. Because of that, the breaker was tripped and a blackout occurred. It's fixed now, though, and the times of transfer. I checked properly, just like you told me, so here they are below. 1:07 p.m. transferred to Sophia, 1:40 p.m. returned to the shelter cabin, 6:03 p.m. transferred to Sophia, 6:36 p.m. returned to the shelter cabin. Of course. 33 minutes. You know what 33 divided by 3 is? I bet you do, don't you? 7:33 transferred to Sophia. 8:06. What time is it now? So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Transfer has occurred 5 times, 2.5 round trips, and at present I'm still here. It looks like the times are all over the place, but do you think there's a pattern? Well then, one last thing. You're an idiot, yes. I'll do as much as I can while I'm in this world, so Satoru too, please take care of my body. Things are pretty bad here, but it's a serious situation there too. It might be kinda weird to say this, but please try not to die. No matter what happens, I'll protect your body until the very end. So you too, Satoru, please protect my body. Live. Survive. The two of us together will escape from this weird phenomenon. And then, I can't think of anything else. Anyway, I'm waiting for the day I can meet you. For sure, somewhere we'll So then, this is where Kokoron will end our message. Kindly forgive the roughness of my writing. Later then. P.S. If you do anything weird to my body, I'll never forgive you. Don't touch it too much, okay? Rather, don't touch it at all. P.P.S. Come to think of it, I forgot to write something important about the newspaper. You saw it too, right, Satoru? The newspaper that was in the shelter cabin. "8:06. Is it? I was sitting in the chair, the newspaper spread out in front of me. I jumped again. I had returned to the shelter cabin. The newspaper in my hands had adhesive tape all over it, holding it together. While reading the paper, I heard Yomogi and Yuni's voices.
Yuni 隊員、青と白のストライプという柄について君はどう思うかね?
ちょっと子供っぽいと思うであります。ヨモギ隊長。
それは言えるな。
What were they talking about?
僕は黒とか紫が好きなんだけどね。
何を言うか、白が良いに決まってるだろう。親切のような純白こそが男のロマンなんだ。
それっておじさんっぽいよ、ヨモギ隊長。
ユニ隊員こそ子供っぽくないぞ。
Somehow it seemed that they were talking in an awfully serious tone of voice. How is this serious? What? Why were they calling each other captain in private? What, some sort of exploration team role-playing? I folded the newspaper. Yuni and Yomogi were looking in my direction. No, that wasn't it. I was sitting with my legs wide open. The two of them were staring at my skirt.
やはり白は譲れないな。
What the fuck? Yomogi nodded while mumbling yup yup. His bearded face had become red as if he'd been in a hot bath for a full week.
何が白は譲れないですか?
I panicked and slammed my knees shut.
おいおい、釣れないな、ゆうきどうくん。もうちょっとぐらいサービスしてくれたって。
In response to Yomogi's words, I...
しょうがないな。それじゃあちょっとだけですよ。
え、良いのか？冗談のつもりだったんだが。
No, it's not okay.
冬川さんには悪い気もするが、ゆきどうくんの行為を無にすることもできそれじゃ。ちょっとだけ。
Oh my gosh.
ええ、ちょっとだけ。
As I beckoned him closer, Yomogi moves his face nearer and nearer to my lap. Yomogi's fearless face was grinning, now widening into a leer. Estimated distance 5 miles. To Yomogi, you'd even come closer. I delivered a full force blow with a rolled up newspaper.
何をするんだ、ゆきどうくん。
私は冬川心です。
え、交換しちゃったの
My entire body's blood supply climbing up to my face. I smacked Yomogi's head over and over again.
そんな人じゃないと思ったのに。もうバカバカ。変態、ド変態。
Oh my
物理
gosh.
スケベの高校チキ。
おい、待ってくれよ。僕は何もゆきどうくんに頼んだわけ。
頼むとか頼まないとか。
I swung the newspaper sword down at Yuni's head too, but he narrowly dodged my strike, so I only sliced there instead. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, I retreated, covering my head with my blanket.
サトルに一言ぐらい注意してくれたって。したよ。
何度もね。
でも癖なんだって。
だから気を抜くとすぐ元に。
何よそれ。うわー、もう超恥ずかしい。
Oh my gosh. I was so embarrassed, tears started to form my eyes, while blinding into my blanket.
子供っぽいパーツで悪かったわね。
If I knew something like this would happen, I'd wear my game panties. God, what am I thinking?
一応気にするんだね。
まあまあ、そういうのがいいって人もいるし。
慰めになってない。
I threw the newspaper at him. Yomogi's face with a resounding smack. It's really an important thing to a maiden. Pulling the blanket over my head, I heard the voices of Yomogi and Yuni frantically trying to apologize. Was this enough for now? I forgot to check the time. The wristwatch was in my pocket this time.
腕時計は毎回外してるし、足開いて座るし。何よもう。それでも相棒。デリカシーのないやつ。
Spitting out one complaint after another, I confirmed the time. The clock indicated 8:11 p.m. Since about 5 minutes had passed since the transfer, I would say it happened at 8:06, which is what I said. He didn't leave a message this time, so I tried playing back the VR. It started playing back the continuation of the message from 4.
Iや、まだ断言はできないんだが、なんとなくそんな気がするんだ。事故にしては不自然なことが2度も続けて起こった。犯人が誰なのかはわからない。見当もつかない。そこにいる内海さん、ユニ、それから犬伏。
Deeper voice Kokoro, yep.
いや、鈴影ほとりと言った方がいいかな。ともかく3人のうちの誰かが俺を殺す。
There was a slight pause. It seemed that Satoru had gone silent while still recording. After a while, the message continued to play.
もちろん俺だってこんなことは考えたくないさ。杞憂であってくれればいいと思っている。だが用心するに越したことはない。そうだろ。その体は俺のものであると同時に、今はお前のものでもあるんだ。お前がその体に入ったまま、だいたい想像はつくよ。頼んだぞ、心。俺もこっちにいるときはできる限りのことをするから。それじゃあまたな。
And that was it. There were no new recordings after that. Oh, not this unsettling shit again. I'm here. After putting the VR in my pocket, I continued to glare at Yomogi for a while. VR now means much different than it did back when this game was written. He stood leaning with his book against the wall, an expression of feigned ignorance on his face. Oh, I didn't welcome you. What's up, bot? Bot-headed? Before long... Perhaps he couldn't stand my overpowering look any longer, as he came up to me and started talking. He seemed to be honestly apologizing, so I decided to forgive him for now. Yeah, super enjoying it. This is great. I spread out the rolled newspaper. I wanted to know what Satoru's opinion of the newspaper was. I jumped when I was about to write it in the memo. Yomogi shook his head. What? I think at peace could be the least suitable word possible to describe the shelter cabin. Even so, I wonder why. Yomogi continued. Yomogi nodded.
あっちとこっちがそっちでどっちなのか僕には分からんがね。
Saying that he shrugged his shoulders. Comfortable, huh? As for me, which world do I find more comfortable?
ねえ、よもぎさん。よもぎさんならとっても暖かくてお腹いっぱいご飯が食べられるけど、自分の命を狙われちゃう世界とこの避難小屋みたいに自然の脅威にさらされている世界ではどっちが気楽ですか？
唐突な質問だね。そうだな、僕なら前者を選ぶかもしれない。雪山の寒さには太刀打ちする術がないからね。殺人鬼の方がまだ魚しようがある。
なるほど。
I think what he said was quite right, but by Satoru's thinking, the shelter cabin was much more comfortable. It said that humans are mysterious beings who don't experience terror and crises on the same scale as one another. When Threat A and Threat B both attack in succession, if Threat A exceeds Threat B for by even a little bit, they'll think that Threat B isn't such a big deal compared to Threat A. For Satoru, an unknown killer is probably a lot more dreadful than the threat of nature. As far as real experiences go, as I've felt the fear of death at Svea myself, I understand his feelings so well it hurts. Rubbing her arms together, Mayuzumi appeared from the ladder leading out of the basement. Just when I was thinking that I didn't see her around, it seemed that she was in the basement. After murmuring, "Oh brother," and shrugging his shoulders, Yomogi put on a cup of chamomile tea for Mayuzumi.
そうだ、一つ分かったことがある。
Which is, by suddenly saying that, Yomogi pointed to an area of the newspaper with his finger.
GPS の話なんだが、どうも機械の故障じゃないらしい。
それじゃあどうして使えないんです？
この記事に答えがあった。 GPS の衛星が狂ってるらしいんだ。
My eyes followed Yomogi's pointing finger to the article. The heading read GPS satellite malfunction due to solar winds.
11年周期で訪れる太陽風のせいなんだとさ。今年は2011年、太陽風の当たり年なんだそうだ。しかも過去数百年の間で最も激しいって書いてある。
The article continued. Also due to solar winds, a bug has appeared in the satellite which is used for satellite phones. Authorities announced that any remote operations from above ground will not be transmitted. However, in extremely rare cases, it seems that satellite phones will still work. The probability of this rare event occurring, starting from the beginning of the year, the rate of successful connections is approximately 1 in 1 million. With this, even if you were to dial one number per every second continuously for 24 hours, it would be normal to connect one time approximately every 11.5 days. This is what the current situation is.
衛星電話か。そんなもんはここにないしな。もっともこの新聞が贋作じゃないとすればだ。
ばっかじゃないの？
A sharp voice flew across the room, setting her already narrow eyes and even further. Mayuzumi glares in this direction.
そんなもの偽物に決まってるでしょ。第一、昨日の今日新聞のことは忘れろって言ったのはあんたでしょ。
まあな、僕だって本気で信じちゃいないさ。だが衛星が故障してるかどうかは別としても、太陽風が極大になってるってのは事実だ。去年の夏あたりからニュースで特集やってただろ。カーナビが使い物にならなくなるとかってさ。
その新聞を作ったやつもニュースを見てたってだけよ。信憑性を持たせようっていうくだらない小細工だわ。いたずらにも程がある。一体誰がこんなこと。
Done talking, Mayuzumi closed her mouth. We all sunk. It seems that when we discuss the newspaper, we always go around in circles. Whether it's a prank or whether it's... My roommate keeps yelling 7 for whatever reason. Whether it's a prank or whether it's real, there's still one thing we don't know. Just when, who, how, and why did someone put this newspaper here? Thinking about it only raises more questions. And what? Yuni broke that silence. What? The fuck? I don't like that at all. Please don't. What the fuck? In the corner of the room, he who had been watching us silently let out a small chuckle.
どうしたんだよ、ユニ。
その新聞の記事本物にしたくないよね。
Still wrapped in his blanket, Uni stood up. The long blanket looked like a sorcerer's robe.
だけどね、僕知ってるんだ。その新聞は本物だよ。何言ってるの？僕らは死んだんだ。
He continued speaking in an austere tone as if he were a shrine maiden handing down the oracle of God.
僕たちはこれから死ぬんだ。
None of us could say anything. Only the sound of the wind filled the interior of the shelter cabin, like a rising requiem of sorrow, incessant bearing down. The sound of falling snow could be heard from the roof. Gathering myself together, I questioned Uni.
ユニ、それどういうこと？
I didn't get to hear the answer. Because of my consciousness disappeared. What? That fast? Usually it wasn't disappearing, or it wasn't going that fast. Again, 1 second. I don't know if I can trust him. I really don't. She was watching me with a blank look on her face.
もうどうして肝心な時に。
Wanting to hear the rest of what Uni had been about to say, I started searching for him. I walked over to Uni's room, but before that, entering Satoru's room, I confirmed the current time. I glanced at the clock on the shelf. 9:49 p.m. The last transfer occurred at 8:06, so that means I was at the shelter cabin for about an hour and 43 minutes. Is that a multiple of 11 too? Let's see. 60 plus 43, which is 103, which is not. Thinking back, it felt like I'd spent more than 4 hours staying inside the shelter cabin during the day.
規則性はないの？
In the meantime, while gazing at the clock, I began pondering. No, that's important too, but there's something bothering me even more right now. The newspaper. What did the words Uni said right before I transferred mean?
その新聞は本物だよ。
The newspaper is real? If so, does it mean that it was brought here from the future? The door to Uni's room was slightly open, without bothering to check. I rush in. To knock, rather, and crash into Uni, who was standing near the doorway with his smirk on his face. Both of us had fallen onto our bottoms. I looked across at Uni.
何するんだよ。それどころじゃないの。ユニ、さっきのはどういうことなの？さっき？あの新聞よ。本物ってどういうこと？新聞？新聞って？ とぼけないで。私は心だからね。
As if the question mark had appeared over his head, Yuni let out a deep sigh and shrugged his shoulders.
だから私は心だって言ってるでしょ。ねえ教えて、さっきの続き。新聞なんて知らないってば。
He's bullshitting, 100%. As Yuni indicated that the answer to my question was beyond him, I began to worry a little. It's strange. Why can't I get through to him? Didn't Yuni and I jump here together?
それよりさ、
And then Yuni said something unexpected.
あの死体どうしたの？
What the fuck? 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 Help me.
死体？
Who died? Was it the work of the murderer? Hotary was safe, and Yuni was right in front of
そ
me.
れじゃ内海さんが。
As quickly as flipping a switch, I flew out of the room. I was about to run all the way to Utsumi's room, but I then came to a stop. If Utsumi was dead, what should I do? It would mean that the culprit was either Yuni or Hotary. Could a Yuni with this innocent face have killed her? Or an Inubushi finally shown her true colors? At the very least, the two looked completely
あ
calm.
の死体どうしたの？
Yuni was so composed as he had said the word corpse. Was he fine because he himself was the killer? Hotary was still in the kitchen. Continuing on, I unsteadily tried to sneak past her. And then I felt something grab hold of my arm. Frightened, I shifted my gaze to her eyes, which were set in an expression of anger. What was it? Say something. If you don't, I won't understand anything.
離して。
I shook her arm off mine. As if saying here, here, Hotari pointed her finger at the area above my feet.
何？
Nonchalantly, I looked down. It was a corpse. A small living being, a brown rat's corpse, had tumbled out from somewhere. Its head had been cruelly crushed, causing blood to issue from its small mouth. Poor Chami. That eerie sight made me look away reflexively. I pressed a hand tightly over my mouth and crouched down. A lot of things have happened until now, and then it was getting to be too much to follow. As if someone was trying to continually test my courage, it felt like I'd been on a long and horrible trip until now. My mind is overheating. This may be the same feeling as having a bad drug trip. Hotary worriedly peeked at my face, and then Utsumi came up from behind the stairs leading to the basement. Blankly staring at me, she replied. In her hands were a towel and a small spade. It seemed that the corpse Yuni had mentioned wasn't Utsumi after all. Then just what? Utsumi stared at the rat's remains. While gently wrapping the rat's corpse in a towel, Utsumi said, Is it bad I have this weird feeling at the back of my neck every time Yuni's not in the picture, every time we're not watching him, seeing what he's doing because he's freaking me out? Hotary nodded. The reason for her angered expression from before was probably because I just ran off, despite promising her to give it a burial. Utsumi carried the towel that the rat was wrapped in her arms, as if it was extremely precious. Oh fuck. Fuck off, bot. It was almost there as if she was embracing a baby. Hotary too had knit her brow in mourning for the death of the rat. Corpse. And brown rats. Where is there a brown rat in this facility?
待っててください。私も必ず手伝いますから。3分だけ待って。
I ran to where Yuni was, but he was no longer there. Yuni was laying sprawled up on the bed. Seeing me, he made a fed-up face.
だから新聞なんて知らないって。違うの。
I frantically shook my head.
さっき言ってた死体ってもしかして。ネズミ、お墓に入れてあげた？僕気持ち悪くて手伝えなくて。
Rat. There's no reason he's fucking with us. He's 100% fucking with us. He's fucking with us.
サトル？どうしたの？なんでもない。なんでもないの。
The truth was never anything to be afraid of. It was just the rat's remains that Yuni had called a corpse. The sick, intoxicated feeling of being on a bad trip began to fade. Was this too just me being spooked by the shadows? There's some type of trick going on. There's some type of trick going on in this. What it is, I don't know, but I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. There is definitely some type of trick going on. There wasn't anything eerie at all, only the fear itself. In reality, there might not actually be a murderous monster. Just like a Brock inspector, the thing that created the shadow of the murderer may be myself, controlled by my fear. It began to feel as if everything was just a bad dream. Except the pain from my slashed left arm keeps on reminding me that this is real. I had more or less regained my composure and went outside along with Utsumi and Hotary to give the rat a proper burial. The moment I went outside, the cold air came crawling up from below. Now inside the snowstorm, I couldn't even see what was a few meters in front of me. Just when will it finally stop? These past 2 days I've seen nothing but snow. The sky had been hiding behind the clouds ever since forever ago. In the area just outside the front entrance, Utsumi and I start clearing the ground. Hotary eagerly started swinging the shovel downward, digging out a hole in the frozen earth. She soon became covered in sweat. Even though I offered, she shook her head from side to side. In no time, a hole about 10 centimeters deep had been opened in the earth. Jungian archetype? Jungian archetype. Oh, Carl Jung. Jungian archetype. Okay, I know Carl Jung. I got you. Interesting. Utsumi slowly laid down the shovel as she had wrapped the rat in. On a pair of wooden chopsticks, Hotary wrote "Rat's Grave." As if it wasn't easy to write on a thin pair of wooden chopsticks, the characters were a little crooked. The three of us get in line in front of the grave and crouch down, joining our hands. Please don't let anyone else die. Alright. The reason why I kept stopped talking was because people in my background just kept being super loud. But I don't think it was coming through on my mic, was it? Anyways, they're gone now. I prayed. That may be a little beyond the power of a rat buried in such a shabby grave, though. Still, I couldn't help but try. Even though I'd only been outside for about 10 minutes, the cold had cut into my body. Rubbing my arms, I returned to Satoru's room. There's nobody behind me. Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck. I hadn't noticed when I was confirming the time because I was so surprised, but a note had been left on top of the table. Taking the note in my hand, I laid down on the bed. I began reading the note. Kokoro, this is sort of sudden, but do you know where the largest mountain on the planet is? It's on the border of Nepal and Tibet. It's called Mount Everest. It's 34,000 feet, or 33,000 feet. Elevation 8,850 meters, or 8,850 meters, and it goes without saying that I'm talking about Everest. Well then, on the other hand, where do you think the deepest point on the planet is? Mariana Trench, right? In this case, the deepest point on the planet means the lowest place that a flesh and blood human can reach. In other words, not an ocean trench, but somewhere underground. Do you know where it is? The correct answer is in the Republic of South Africa. How many feet below sea level? In a deep level gold mine, there exists the deepest hole in the world. The depth is about 3580 meters. Wow, that's crazy. But you know, I just found a place that's even deeper than that. What? Inside my heart? I'm so thankful to a girl named Fukao Kokoro. This thankfulness is even deeper than that deep level mine. What the fuck? And at the same time, I'm so moved it hurts. The feelings of my heart climb higher than ever. What is going on? In other words, if the feelings of my heart were to be converted into units of distance, they'd surely reach far above 12,430 meters high. That's how grateful I am to you right now. Of course, I'm talking about how you safely got away from the culprit who's after me. Oh. Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Kokoro. Because I'm a man who's studying the natural sciences, I can't think of the right words to express myself, but far above 12,430 meters. 1, 2, 4, 3. Let me see. 1, 2, 4, 3. I'm not gonna Google it, don't worry, don't worry. It's probably some significance, but I'm gonna do something that's not Googling it. You probably have an idea of what I'm doing. Yes, it's divisible by 11. As a matter of fact, 1130 times, 1130 times. So what does 1130 mean? There's 11, there's a 3, and 11 times 3 equals 33, which is the amount of times, or the amount of minutes I'm at Svea for at a chunk. Is that what it is? I feel like 0, very important. What's 0? Oh, and 0. I forgot 0. 1130. I had a feeling 1130 was more important than 12430 because 1130 really feels more significant, you know? Choji? I don't know what Choji is. Is that something I can Google? Choji? C-H-O-U-J-I. Don't Google Choji? All I got was something from Naruto. Okay, but that capital N-O makes me think whatever Choji is important, so I won't Google it. I won't keep looking. If my feelings can be transmitted through this numerical value, there's nothing more I desire. If my feelings can be transmitted through this numerical value, there's nothing more I desire. If my feelings can be transmitted through this numerical value, there's nothing more I desire. 1 plus 2 equals 3, plus 4 equals 7, plus 3 equals 10, plus 0 equals 0. 10. 1 times 2 equals 2 times 4 equals 8 times 3 equals 24. It's also 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0, all in one number. Mamiya Takuji? Fucking idiot. Worst protagonist ever. This number, I'm just gonna keep thinking about it. Fucking hell. 1130. 12430. 12430. 1130. How tall was Everest? So, where'd he get... Oh, he added those two together. Okay. He added those two together to get that number. Anyways, I was worried about the injuries that were inflicted on his body, but it seems Satoru is still thankful regardless. I felt just a little proud of myself. Well then, no matter how many words I string together, it won't be enough to tell you how thankful I am. But there's something else more important than I have to tell you. I have no idea when we'll transfer again, after all. I apologize for the rudeness, but I'll be changing the subject to my reply around here. I sat up on the bed. This wasn't something to be read lying down. Without thinking about it, I sat up perfectly straight. Question, by somebody, who did I mean? I put in the voice recorder too, but I don't know. My answer is that I don't know, except I don't think it's Yuni. I don't have proof or anything, but I can't imagine Yuni being the one that's after me. I think I can exclude Utsumi-san as a suspect based on my personal impression of her. In her case, I'm especially doubtful, since her speech and conduct aren't the least bit suspicious. The last one is Hotary. I'm hesitant to talk about her in black and white, just as you wrote she was the culprit in the Awazumi incident after all. Even if the Hotary personality is uninvolved, there's another more ferocious personality lurking within her. You can probably say that the probability is high. It wouldn't be going overboard to give a warning. Indeed, that is true. Why do you think someone is after you? Now that you mention it, I haven't told you the details yet, huh? I was on the clock tower when I was first attacked. I was pushed off it by someone. Thankfully, my injuries weren't too bad, but if I had landed the wrong way, I might have died. I don't know whether the culprit in that incident intended to kill me, but they at least did it with the goal of hurting me in mind. After falling from the clock tower, I lost consciousness. When you woke up at Svea, it was probably a few hours afterwards. That's right, when I came to Svea for the first time, I was lying in a bed. Utsumi was treating me at the time, but I remember my entire body aching painfully. I jumped into his body after he was in that condition from being pushed off. And if Satoru's body had died soon afterward, I might have died along with it. I'm thankful it wasn't too serious. The next time they came after me, I was in the bathroom. When I was in the bath, someone tried drowning me by plunging my head into the water. Are we sure that happened? Oh. Oh shit. Fucking Kokoro. Fucking idiot getting into the fucking bathtub. Fucking... What are you thinking? To be almost drowned in the bathroom, I shivered, not from cold, but from fear. Suddenly feeling uneasy, I got off the bed. I locked the door. I just locked my door. I checked the lock on the window. Because I don't know when the murderous monster will come after me again, I sat down on the bed. And thinking that a hand would pop up out from under it, I put my feet up on top of the bed. So that I couldn't be attacked from behind, I sat with my back against the headboard and continued reading the note while hugging my knees. Hey, Kokoro? Do you know who the culprit is? Please tell me in detail what it was that happened then. I'm begging you. Huh? What does he mean? Do I know who the culprit is? There's no way. The clock tower incident happened before the personality exchange started occurring after all. He means the fucking bathtub incident, you dolt. You fucking were in the bathroom and fucking fuck happened. Fainted next to the fucking bathtub. And the power was out during the incident in the bathtub as well as the knife attack, so I couldn't see anything. What was he trying to say? I don't understand what he meant at all. In the meantime, I continued reading. Sorry, the conversation's changed direction a bit. Well, that's it for now. The clock tower, bathroom, and my left arm being cut. These three things happening in succession means that someone is after me. More correctly, someone is after my life. About Svea, is there any way to leave, or are there any means to communicate with the outside? It's hard for me to say, but the answer to both questions is probably no. If my memory is correct, there shouldn't be any way to leave or communicate with the outside world. I can't say this for certain because right now I'm a little amnesiac from the fall. I more or less remember Svea, but it might be that there's something I'm forgetting. I apologize for only being able to respond with such irresponsibly unhelpful answers. If I remember anything, I'll tell you right away. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you're in the chat, is my mic cutting out at all today? Because I messed with some of the settings, and I think it shouldn't be cutting out at all. I'm just wondering if it's cutting out, because the last time I recorded, it was cutting out every, like, 2 or 3 minutes. It was super annoying. Cool, no cutting, awesome. About the shelter cabin, did anything important happen? I don't think there have been any big changes. Yomogi and Yuni are just lazing around, only Lean is emotionally unstable, but that's normal for her. There isn't really anything important I have to tell you at the moment. With that ends my replies to the questions you've asked me, Kokoro. I've answered everything that was in my scope of knowledge. After that, there's the timing of the transfers. Thanks, you saved me. Thanks to that, I now know that the transfer times I recorded in yours are more or less the same. Tentatively, the transfer times that I've checked go something like this. 107 to 140, 33 minutes. 603 to 636, return. 733 to 806, return. Please don't mind the dash PM. At the time I was in the dark running away from someone with a knife. I didn't have the opportunity to check the time. I don't know yet whether there's a rule about the timing of the transfers. The only thing I can say for sure is that you and I both transfer into each other's bodies at the same time. With that, please continue checking the time from here on out too. It's not like we have a big sample to work with after all. And lastly, about your body, don't worry, I'll protect it no matter what. I take it upon myself to always repay favors. As I continued to read the contents of the message, I felt disappointed. Just remembering it made my cheeks turn red. I think I should tell him to be mindful of other people's eyes as well. Moreover, Kokoro and I have a connection that can't be severed even if someone tries to cut it. I just noticed it now, but it seems that I, without you, am just me. Either way, the fact that I'm me doesn't change, but even so, when you're there, I feel like I can be more like myself. There's a 4-character Chinese aphorism that goes like that. Do you know it? Seki Jukanse. Seki Jukanse? Seki Jukanse. Seki Jukanse. Red accepts blue entirely is what it means. Maybe I've been trapped by that phenomenon myself. Of course, it's because you're here that this phenomenon came into existence in the first place, though. Red accepts blue entirely? What is Satoru trying to say? I have no idea. Red accepts blue entirely. Does this have to do with wavelengths and the color spectrum? As I thought, I don't know. Red and blue. Aka and Ao. Oh, fuck. How did I not notice this? Are Mount Akakura and Aosagi Island involved somehow? Is it about a personality exchange? I wish you'd write in a way that's a little easier to understand. Sorry, that was a little much, huh? Anyway, I definitely won't let you die no matter what, so try to relax somehow. Believe in me. I'll multiply my 12,430 meters worth of appreciation and pay it all back to you. Huh? I noticed it after reading it up to here. Satoru didn't answer all of my questions. About the newspaper, about Uni. He didn't even touch upon those two subjects. Why is it? Why didn't he write anything? I don't think he simply forgot. Maybe he has a reason for not answering? Alright, there's one last thing I want to say. Might be rude to say something like this, but... Oh. Satoru's kanji has the character for Kokoro in it. If you remove Kokoro from Satoru, you get the kanji for me. Wow! The Watashi kanji or the Ore kanji? Which one? Ore, okay, cool. That would make sense because Satoru minus Kokoro is still, you're still left with the main part of Satoru. The first part of Satoru, which would be a guy, which would be Ore. Okay, cool. I guess that kind of makes sense. It might be kind of rude to say something like this, but Kokoro's drawing was the work of a prodigy. No, it wasn't. It sucked. Well then, later. Why did he not talk about... It's almost as if when I wrote that down, it appeared as blanks to him. He didn't see anything. I don't think he'd just ignore me. At any rate, that is weird. I know it was in good artistic taste though, but I don't know about it being the work of a prodigy. I don't really understand, but it seems my drawing really left a deep impression on Satoru. There's no reason getting praise should make me feel bad. Harboring a slightly complicated feeling in my heart, I once again lay down on the bed. While holding my knees, I continuously take in deep breaths. With this exhaustion having worn down on my body, those deep breaths soon changed into sleeping breaths. Don't fall asleep, you fucking idiot. January 13th, the third day. The desire to change. Oh, we switched. When I woke up, I was in a bed at the cabin. I'd fallen asleep at Svea the night before. It was obvious that a personality exchange had occurred while I was sleeping, and I returned to this cabin. Perhaps the exchange had happened 3, 5, or even 7 times or more. It was certain that the number of times it took place was odd. Since I was sleeping, the transfer phenomenon might have occurred dozens of times, as if I simply wouldn't have noticed. There were still so many riddles surrounding this phenomenon. By the way, what time was it now? I looked at my wrist, but my watch wasn't there. Satoru must have taken it off again. He's definitely doing it on purpose. As I groped about with resentment, the wristwatch tumbled into the corner of the bed. 9:20. It's 9:20 in the morning, of course. Hearing a sound, I raised my body and saw Yomogi standing before the entrance. He was carrying some fairly heavy equipment. Yomogi gave me a fleeting glance and opened the door. He didn't explain any further. With that, he went out. The nearly dazzling light of the morning sun was shining in through the crack of the door. I held my breath. I hurriedly slipped out of the bed and dashed outside. Interesting. And it's probably a good time for me to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back. I returned. with some Oreos. I'd give you guys some Oreos if I could. They're actually double stuffed. They're the plain kind though, the chocolate. I tried to get the, I tried to get the vanilla, the, golden Oreos. Those are my favorite. But they were sold out. The store I was at 2 weeks ago was having a, sale. And they had, like, a 2 for $4 deal on these, like, 16 ounce boxes of Oreos, double stuffed. They were huge. The deal was fantastic, so of course they ran out. But, yeah. You know, if I was actually out in a cabin, I wouldn't have access to any Oreos. Did you guys ever think about that? Well, if you didn't, now you have. Either way, it was a magnificent scene. The deep blue sky felt so close you could reach out and touch it. The pure white snow sparkled in the sunlight. A great number of peaks extended far, far away. To the left of the shelter cabin, to the east, the summit went on like a slightly elevated hill. Seeing such scenery made me think about how cruelly tiny my own existence was. The shape of Yomogi in the pure white snowfield stood out clearly. I shouted to Yomogi's back, but he didn't even reply and instead continued marching on due south. A cold wind shook me up as I ran through the snow. My whole body trembled. I held myself tight with both arms. I returned to the cabin in a hurry when I became aware that I wasn't even wearing a coat. Where does Yomogi plan on going? He's by no means the kind of person who would run away by himself. Maybe he's going to call for help? Suddenly I remembered. Didn't Yomogi say he would try to go to the crash site if the weather cleared up? Anyhow, I had to chase after him. I went down to the basement to search for the equipment to help me walk through the snowy mountain. Although I said that, I have no idea how to put on any mountain climbing equipment. For the time being, I decided to take the things which caught my eye. Put on a wool sweater as an extra layer and some gloves. Oh, another question. Don't you guys just love Kokoro's moans? They're great, aren't they? Since there was an ice axe, I decided to take it too for some reason. I also found some rope, but it was considerably heavy. With my strength, it looked impossible to walk while carrying it. This much should be fine for now. Next, the coat. The coat I had borrowed from my Utsumi. My Utsumi had gotten up. Yuni raised himself from the bed, rubbing his drowsy eyes. Of course, fuck you. We're leaving you in the dust, you bitch. She spouted off in one breath. Without answering, I picked up the coat placed on the bed. She grabbed my shoulder roughly. So this entire time we've been treating my Utsumi like absolute garbage. We've been, well, I mean, it's not like she hasn't deserved it, but we've been super, like, we've not been taking her shit. Put it that way. So, I feel like we don't want to be in too bad of status with her. But I feel like if we explain the status to her, she'll stop us from going. But at the same time, I feel like we should tell her. My Utsumi let go of me. See, there, it was easy, wasn't it? There was no need to ignore her. Absolutely no need. Ignoring her probably would have made things fucking worse. And with how crazy things are getting, I don't want to fucking get, like, dead, you know? If you want to get fucking dead, let me know, but I have no intention of getting fucking dead. I think part of it is that most of it was her fear and not knowing what was going on, just being in the situation at first. I can kind of understand how in a type of life or death situation, the bad side of her might come out. Maizumi let go of me. I nodded.
よもぎさん一人じゃ大変でしょうからみんなで力を合わせないと
Maizumi snorted. It sounded kind of sarcastic.
必ず戻ってきますそれまでユニのことお願いします
戻ってこなかったら
Then try to live by yourself, okay?
戻ります絶対に
Maizumi sighed and returned to her bed.
お土産期待してる
Sure, I'll bring you a dead body. I'm sure there are plenty of those there. She said bluntly. I put on the coat that I borrowed from Maizumi. I can't say that my countermeasures against the cold are so perfect now, but it can't be helped. The weather outside was clear, so I shouldn't freeze to death. Saying this to myself, I went outside. I've heard that there are a lot of bad ends in this game that end in death. So, like, I gotta keep myself alive. And I mean, that definitely makes sense because it feels like any wrong move we make could just lead to our death on either side. So I'm trying to make the smartest decisions here. No, I'm not dying to death. Oh, fun fact, people die when they are killed. Did you know that? Like right now, for example. This Oreo is dying and it's being killed in my mouth. Yomogi's figure had already become as small as a grain of rice. Can I catch up? I shouted in a loud voice while furiously waving. Yomogi turned this way. Hurriedly, I took my first step into the snowfield. Whoa! My feet plunged into the snow. It's deeper than I thought. I frantically advanced, following the trail Yomogi had wrestled while also making use of the ice axe I had taken. Still, I became all sweaty before catching up with Yomogi. And yet, the distance I had covered was just about 200 meters. It's so difficult walking through the snow. How easy is it to not get a single dead end while playing, if you're not using a guide like me? I wanted to take off the hot coat. I wanted to drop into the snow and feel its coldness on my face. Yomogi was waiting silently. I somehow caught my breath.
行くんですよね墜落現場私も一緒に
However, Yomogi's face was calmer than ever. His head shook a bit.
小屋に戻れ戻れと言ってるんだよ
なんでですか
危険だからだ
でもこんなに晴れてるし
It could get crazy in a matter of seconds. Yomogi's look was immovable. A sharp scowl was directed at me.
山の天気は変わりやすい
Yep. I know that much from reading all these Everest books. Oh fuck. I've been trying to think of it for ages. What was his name? Mark Fetzer. Okay, cool. I've read a bunch of Everest books as a kid, and for the longest time I've been trying to remember. I couldn't remember for the life of me what one of them was called. And I went back home during break once, and I was looking for it, and I found some of my Everest books, but I couldn't find the one. And just right now, thinking about Everest, the title of the book suddenly came to me. It's My Everest Story by Mark Fetzer. It was a good book as a kid. My favorite Everest book is probably Into Thin Air, though, by John Krakauer. But I'm a huge fan of mountain climbing. Not actually going mountain climbing, I've never been, but I want to someday. Anyways, I digress.
常識だ。知ってるだろ。それに
Yomogi paused, then averted his eyes.
なんでもない。
でも
足手まといになるだけなんだ。今すぐ帰れ。
Yomogi's tone was stern. And with that, he started to walk. With a strong pace, he pushed his way through the snow. I hesitated over what to do. What Yomogi said was certainly correct. If a young girl like me who doesn't know anything about traversing snow mountains were to follow him, she'd probably just be a hindrance. It would be too dangerous, but so was going alone. Anyhow, as I returned to the cabin, all I could think about were negative things. I'm not the greatest thinker. Give us a choice to go with him, jeez, I'd take that. I'd done nothing but think these past 2 days. It seemed that my carefree mind has gone a little funny. I'll feel at ease again if I'd move at least a little. Oh, we can. Cool. Alright. We're going after him.
そうよ。じっとしてるなんて私らしくないもんね。
This honestly feels the most natural, and I feel like staying in that cabin. I don't like staying in small confined spaces, you know? I really don't like it at all.
えいあー
I pulled myself together and ran after Yomogi. I was out of breath. The breath from my mouth turned white and dissipated in the cold air. Yomogi didn't say anything else about me following him. However, he didn't wait for me either. Being a professional mountaineer, he pushed through the snow with quick steps. Even though I was only following the path he formed through rustling, it took all my strength just to keep up. All of a sudden, I lost my footing and fell face first into the snow. So cold. Some way. When I raised my head, I saw Yomogi extending an arm to me.
ありがとう。
And before he picks me up and tries driving me back, I managed to stand up with Yomogi's help. Placing my hands on my knees to support myself, I slowly regained my breath.
一つだけ聞いていいですか？
Since it was never settled, I've been curious since yesterday.
新聞のことどうなったんです？
It was about yesterday afternoon, about the newspaper which had a report from the plane crash, printed with the date from the future. And then all of a sudden, Yuni had said this.
その新聞は本物だよ。
I transferred right after he said that, so I'd missed hearing what he'd said next. I forgot about that, kinda, already.
あれか。
ユニはなんて？
Yomogi shrugged his shoulders.
子供だしね。ちょっとしたいたずら心であんな冗談を言ったんだろう。
冗談？ユニがそう言ったんですか？
いや、
問い詰めなかったの？
問い詰めると言ってもな。
Yomogi looked as if he was having trouble saying
他に
it.
考えられないだろう。本物のわけがない。
Yomogi probably doesn't want to believe those lies written in the newspaper either. That's why I didn't want to prolong discussion of this topic. Yomogi left my side and began walking ahead quickly. Unsatisfied with his answer, I followed behind him. Oh dear God. There are the bodies. It was a disastrous sight that made me want to cover my eyes. Unable to form any words, I collapsed where I stood.
来るなと言ったんだ。
Yomogi muttered unpleasantly. However, I could no longer hear his words. I was beaten down by the cruel spectacle spread out in front of my eyes. The airplane had lost its original form and lay broken in pieces. Around the area were several black lumps half buried in the snow. Dead bodies, a number of carbonized corpses, were lying around. Their arms were stretched out as if reaching for something. There were some that had lost all semblance of human form, twisted into strange shapes. There were those completely severed from the rest of the body or the chest or the waist. There were those who were like marionettes frozen stiff. It was but a mere illusion that the silvery landscape was beautiful. At the very least, there's nothing beautiful about the place I was in now. A carpet of white smothered in the lamplight of life. The scene spread out before us was a world of death and a world of nothingness. Only a heartless silence exists here. Maybe I'll turn to charcoal as well and be laid across this world of death. The fear I had felt in the accident came back to me once again. And then I felt it. An image I hadn't seen it until now. Oops, did not mean to do that. What am I doing? The image of death, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Unable to bear it any longer, I turned my back to the corpses. From deep in my throat, hot gastric juice began to churn. I tried to endure it, but what I thought I had turned my back on was in front of me as well. Right there in front of me, a single slender finger stuck up from under the fallen snow. I vomited and panted heavily, my shoulders heaving, but Yomogi didn't condemn me at all. He walked around the area looking at the corpses without changing his expression. I wasn't able to do anything but stare blankly at his movements. A mist clouded my thoughts like a thin veil had been placed inside my head. See ya, bot-headed. My mind was completely blank. My body continued to shake from the mixture of fear, sadness, nausea, and revulsion. At the end of his searching, Yomogi was able to find a satellite phone and wireless radio in the wreckage. Yomogi reported each of his findings as if to confirm that I was still conscious. Damn. I wasn't in any condition to reply. Ignoring Yomogi's voice, I crouched down, unmoving, hugging my knees. Other than that, the search had yielded slightly frozen rations and one eared and slightly burnt teddy bear, as well as a few coats that still looked usable. Yomogi also seemed to have found a bag that was checked at the luggage counter at the boarding gate. And one more thing. What he picked up from under the snow was a translucent black file. Yomogi's expression suddenly altered. With friendly, sharp eyes, he looked at the contents of the file. It was my file. The file with the collected information about the murderous monster Inubushi Keiko. It had survived unburned. Even if you found something like that, it probably wouldn't be any use whatsoever. Yomogi continued to read through it as he'd been sucked in. Did he have an interest in Inubushi Keiko as well? After a while, Yomogi closed the file. Yomogi had just been scavenging with a disinterested look, now wore an expression of suffering. Unchanging, he quietly put away the file. He said, walking over to where I was. Even if we had gathered a few things, it was hardly enough to rejoice over. And I'm not overlooking that. I think the file definitely means something to him. Inubushi Keiko is his daughter? I'm not jumping to conclusions like that, though. That's just stupid, just to randomly jump to a conclusion. We're gonna dig a grave, and only because I feel like it could help uncover something. I mustered my will and stood. Unstopped, I glared at Yomogi. I saw him biting his lip, his expression unpleasant. I looked around the crash site again. Aren't they even entitled to a little dignity after death? Must they always be spread across this freezing mountain, their pitiful bodies exposed to the ravages of the cold? There's no way I can just abandon them. They should be at least able to sleep in peace after suffering an agonizing death. I felt like this was also a responsibility of ours as survivors. Yomogi looked astonished. Ignoring him, I searched out a suitable place and started digging a hole with the ice axe. The snow became harder the deeper I dug. Underneath this layer of snow, soft on top was hard as an ice bank. At first I thought that compared to soil, snow should be easier to dig up, but that was a naive thought. Yomogi silently helped me. That aside, with only a single ice axe, our efficiency was horrible. Even with the two of us, digging a hole large enough to fit a human being's remains was no easy task. In the end, digging a single hole that could bury several bodies took well over an hour. I decided to compromise by burying the body that had fallen the closest. The body was completely black, carbonized and stiff, with its hand reaching toward the sky. I'm going to bury you now, so... My mind made up, I placed my hands under the armpits of the corpse. Thinking that I pulled to the hole, I put some strength into it. At that moment, the corpse's arms, like those of a wax doll, broke off and crumbled. Panicking, I hurled the black hand I was holding. My spine froze. The frailty of the human body. In my act of throwing away the arm. Even if you try and persuade and control it with reason, the body will still move on reflex. Once again, the acid started to well up from my throat. I fell where I stood. Tears started to flow. I went on and on about preserving their dignity, only to end up desecrating them myself. I had done something so cruel to them. I'm a hypocrite. My resolve was weak. For all my arrogance, they were just empty words. I'd resented my own pitiful self. Yomogi neither condemned nor encouraged me, he only remained indifferent. It may have only been in my imagination, but it felt like he had given up on everything. His lack of criticism only knocked me down even further. The wordless corpses must be blaming me instead. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Gomenasai, 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 gomenasai. The tears wouldn't stop. Beside the place I was crouching, the wind blew. The broken pieces of those who were once human began to crumble and scatter, dancing on the wind. Our steps were heavy, but when the cabin came into view, we felt relieved. We still have a place to return to. We have a place to survive in this ruthless world below the freezing point. In front of the cabin, Utsumi and Yuni were waiting. They'd come outside just to welcome us back, in spite of the cold in which they were shivering, and even now. Yuni is waving to us, seeing that Yomogi broke into a smile. Looking triumphant, he raises a hand high, just like a child. Perhaps by doing that in his own way, he was trying to endure the sadness. Yomogi brought the worn-out teddy bear from inside his backpack. He tosses it to Yuni. Catching it and holding it tightly, Yuni's face shone. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? You're gonna name it TB? Okay. Okay. If you know what I'm talking about, if you know why I'm reacting like this, you've read what I've read. If you don't understand my my consternation here, just ignore it. Yuni hugged the toy lightly. Tightly. Not lightly. Those are opposites. He seems so happy. Yuni has TB now. Yuni runs around on the snow while dancing with the teddy bear. He is in very high spirits, and while watching Yuni, Yomogi whispered in my ear. Though I answered him like thus, I couldn't recover so easily. The scene I saw at the crash site is scorched in my eyes and won't go away. I slipped past the three of them and entered the cabin. From outside the door, I could only hear the voices.
貸しなさい。
はあ、何するんだよ。
ほれほれ。
返してよ。
I lay down on the top bunk bed. I can't laugh innocently like them, right? I suddenly remembered I'll try listening to the VR. Maybe it contains a new message from Satoru. But there weren't any newly recorded messages. I closed my eyes. I didn't want to think about anything. The reality of the death of 27 people. The reality that I survived. Pitch black corpses, carbonized and rigid. Corpses without a face, torsos sunk into their seats, abdomens torn apart, feet hanging from branches, their tragic shapes stripped of human dignity, strewn around to run through my mind. And suddenly their faces changed into my own. To get rid of that image, I held my head and shook it. Perhaps I too had become like that. Tomorrow I might end up the same way. Yomogi behaved cheerfully as possible. That was his utmost effort to not give up on all hope. He's pretty strong, I'd say. But I tremble at the fear of death. Even more so than we thought. We're standing at the very edge of the abyss of death. I don't want to die. I want to live. I don't know how long this weather would hold out. I really hope help comes before it gets bad again. Quickly. Help us. Tasukete.
こんにちは。
Oh, fuck.
僕、テディベアの TV だよ。
Go away. Please go away. Before I realized that Yuni and the teddy bear were peeking out from under the bunk. I don't want TB. Please don't give me TB. The round eyes of the teddy bear were looking at me. It favored me with a quick bow.
かわいいでしょ。
Yuni smiled sweetly. There's no music here and it's unsettling. My chest tightened.
かごめかごめ、後ろの正面だれ。
Please don't say things like that. Please don't say things like that.
ねえ、どうしてそんな悲しそうな顔してるの？ここ。
That's actually creepy.
具合悪いの？
I hugged Yuni, who was looking at me worriedly tight.
大丈夫。
Aww.
大丈夫だよ。
How do I hide it? What button do I press again? O? It was O. Screenshot time.
Kokoro. 絶対に帰ろうね。
We have to live. For the 27 who died, we have to survive. The teddy bear that was between Yuni and I began to make sounds as it pressed against our stomachs. What? 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 Suddenly that cry was very far away. Oh fuck. Her illness. I was standing in the Sphere living area. Hotary was standing right in front of me. I transferred, I sighed. I hate all this. I want a break. I want to be fast asleep in my warm bed at home. Still, I'm not allowed to complain. That, I know.
わかってるけど。
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. What if this is secretly a cover-up for running experiments? What if this whole thing is like a scientific, like, not cover-up, but they're being used as test subjects? What if they're being used by test subjects by some medical company for some reason? Or some type of research for like transferring consciousnesses. There has to be a reason why this is happening, and it's not just happening because, oh, random consciousness switch. No, there's a reason for it. But what is that reason? Does it have to do with the number 11? I swear to God. There's somebody behind this. I feel like complaining a little. Somehow I shored up my nearly withered willpower in order to check the time I made for Satoru's room. Oh, fuck! Surprised, I turned around to face Hotary. Her shoulders were heaving and the breath she took were ragged. She was tearing at her black hair and violently shaking her head. I'd seen something like this once before. A scream rises from her. It's exactly the same as before when she went berserk before. Hotary was visibly trembling, as though having convulsions. Run away! From behind her disheveled hair, bloodshot eyes peer out. They're not focusing. Drool dribbled from her mouth. Staggering, Hotary collapsed on the desk where the PC monitor was sitting. The monitor falls to the ground. The beastly roar, Hotary raised a chair over her head. Panicked, Jesus! I jumped back. Or in that delicate body had she found the strength to lift up a chair with one hand? Humans in a state of mental confusion I heard somewhere are capable of drawing out a strength several times greater than normal. It's the so-called hysterical strength. People, in order to not end up destroying themselves with their own physical strength, usually save their power. In a state of psychological upset, cut free from the chains of reason, enters a state close to acting on sheer instinct alone. Reminds me of, myself climbing. No, I'm not gonna talk about that. We don't talk about that incident. When the limiter called reason is realized, or released, one has the potential to draw out a normally unthinkable superhuman strength. I bit my lip. At any rate, this can't be good. Utsumi came out of the room, her eyes widened on seeing Hotary's alarming state. After stopping Utsumi, I carefully closed the distance between me and Hotary. And then, Hotary abruptly threw the chair. If that hits me, I'm done for. I promptly fended off the chair with my hand. Dull pain runs through my left hand. I intentionally ended up using my dominant arm, forgetting that Satoru's left arm was injured. Luckily, it looks like the painkillers are kicking in. It wasn't very painful, but I injured Satoru's body yet again. Something about ducking in that situation just rubs me the wrong way. Hearing that maddened groaning, I returned to my senses. Hotary cried out, grinding her teeth. Fending it off with the chair, actually, well, the choice fend it off with your hands. The choice of fending it off with your hands makes it actually seem like you're fending it off. Ducking doesn't, it just means you're ducking, it doesn't mean you're safely ducking. Burying her head in her hands, she looked toward the ceiling, although this could have implications if both my arms are injured. That's not good. No, her eyes were reflecting nothing. I hurried. In this state, there's the risk that Hotary will bite through her tongue. I didn't have any time to waste. I've got to try to calm her somehow. Readying myself, I jumped at Hotary. I extended my left arm to pin her down. My body didn't move the way I intended it to. I have almost no feeling in my left arm. Oh, fuck. That was the wrong decision, wasn't it? Before I realized it, Hotary had landed a punch on my face. Almost staggering, I somehow stood firm and put up with it. It didn't hurt that much. Psyching up, I measured my distance from Hotary. Then Hotary incoherently swung both her hands. She threw his punches in every direction, but unfaltering, I seized Hotary's wrists. She seemed so frail. No, that's not it. Because this is Satoru's body, I'm much stronger. However, no matter how strong I am, I'm holding down a girl gone berserk isn't easy. Moreover, I have only the use of my right hand. If I don't do this well, I'll not only hurt myself, but Hotary as well. Resolutely, I held onto Hotary's slender body tightly. I felt her violent shaking through my own body as well. Even so, Hotary struggled with her entire body, randomly striking my shoulders and head. Hotary's body was small. I wonder if I feel that way because I'm in Satoru's body. Hotary was very fragile, almost as she would break if I used any more strength. Because this is Satoru's body, adjusting the level I use is difficult. Being careful not to hurt her, I held fast to her. I wonder how long this has gone on for. Soon the screams began to die down and her breathing quiets as well. Drained of strength in my arms, Hotary calmed down. Supporting the unconscious Hotary, I take her to her room. Utsumi and Yuni helped me as well.
お手柄ね、雪毒。
私、
あら、冬川さんだったの？
はい。
そう。いずれにしても、あり。
Utsumi turned to me with a kind smile. It's a bit embarrassing, but this isn't the time to be relieved. I have witnessed Hotary's fits twice, despite my limited time in this body. Perhaps her spasms are occurring more frequently. Hotary equals Inubushi diagnosed with DID. If her mental condition becomes unstable, it wouldn't be strange for her to change personalities. And if Inubushi wakes up, thinking that, a cold chill runs up my spine.
あら、おとりちゃん、気がついた？
Blinking in surprise, she looks up at us.
大丈夫？おとりちゃん。
I dared to call her name. To confirm she is Hotary. She responded to my call with a slight nod. My relief, she's Hotary. She pulled the sheets tight up around herself and began to tremble again.
まだポスが。
Still tense, Hotary shook her head at us. She got up and furiously rubbed at her upper arms. She opens her mouth as if in appeal.
どうしたの？
She's trying to talk, but even though she's opening her mouth, nothing comes out. Then she
これ
frowned.
使えば？
Yuni brought a notepad. After taking it, Hotary began to write with a shaky hand. Her hand strokes are weak. Maybe there was no strength in her hand. You choked your arms out. On the note that she handed back, only one word was written. Cold.
寒いの？
Oh.
でも。
The heater in the room was doing its job, even though it should be moderately warm. But Hotary certainly seemed to feel cold. Her lips were ghastly blue, her teeth chattering against each
暖
other,
房を強くするわ。
saying that Utsumi left the room. Hotary clung to me and tightly squeezed my hand. I smiled and squeezed back in
大
return.
丈夫だよ。何の心配も。
I was telling myself that as well. Still holding Hotary's hand, I sat down on the edge of the bed. I took a deep breath.
おとりちゃんはいつこの施設に来たの？
Hotary silently shook her head. Looks like she doesn't know. If she's the alternate personality of Inubushi Keiko, I guess there's no helping it. I've never met this Inubushi Keiko personality, even though I've already been experiencing the transfer phenomenon for 3 days now. Random question, random thought, but if she's Hotary, she can't talk. Oh, I guess she wrote down her name, Hotary, on a notepad then. It seems Inubushi has never awakened during that time. Does Inubushi Keiko really have DID? That file. That file Yomogi found at the crash site, I need to reread it one more time. What kind of girl is that Suzukage Hotary personality? It might be recorded somewhere. I've got to confirm it. Instinctively, I gave a worn out sigh. I've been sighing a lot recently. There's so many things I don't understand, and on top of those mysteries, even more problems are all showing up now, and I end up leaving them all unfinished. What do I do? A Hotary pulled at my hand. She's writing something down. The notepad again, looking down at it, the words Red Room have been written there. Red
赤い
Room?
部屋？どういう？
Hotary continued writing. Those only short words and phrases, what I saw was quite frightening. Red light seemed warm room? What the fuck? Red light seemed warm room?
おとりって字下手くそだね。そういうこと言うのはやめなさい。
なんで怒ってるのさ。
怒ってません。
The fragmentary state of— oh fuck. My bad. After saying those code words, I turned back to Hotary's note and read it over again. The fragmentary state of the writing is probably due to how much Hotary is shaking. She can't even write straight. It kind of gives you a creeping feeling after reading it too.
赤い部屋を見たのね。どこで？
Hotary weakly shook her head. Looks like she doesn't know. At least it appears it's on Insuya. As far as I know, this facility doesn't have any red rooms. Hotary eagerly wrote a continuation of the note. Cold, dark, locked up all alone. There are people behind this. 100%. 100%. Oh, my butt hurts. Red room, enter. There, Hotary hung her head all worn out. The pen fell to the floor. I laid Hotary down in the bed and she docilely complied. Red light seems warm room. Red light seems warm room. I'm gonna write this down. Let me see. Red light seemed warm room. What else? Watch this, none of this even be important. Cold, dark, locked up, all alone. Red room, enter. Okay. The words Hotary wrote, they somehow ring a bell. The red room, is it scenery from inside Hotary's heart, or could it be something she felt she saw within her mind? It is said when people with DID switch personalities, the personality that is neglected feels like it was left alone in a dark room. That feeling is in its same sense of cold, dark, locked up, alone, like Hotary said. And when the switch occurs, the surfacing personality moves from the darkness to a bright room. In practice, it's not a bright room, but usually an inexpressible sensation now somewhere in her mind. That room, in other words, seems to be a part of the symbolic scenery related to the physical world. According to the patient, it's not a bright room, but it's represented with another figurative expression. Spotlight. If we consider that to Hotary, then that's the red room. It's a typical DID case, but Hotary can't understand that she has DID, so she's confused. I'm sure she has very painful thoughts, even more than I do. I think this is more a physical thing than DID. I think there's actually some red room. I want to somehow ease her pain, but with my strength, I can do no more than keep holding her hand like this. Just one more time, I murmured those same words. There was nothing more than consolation, but I couldn't help saying them. Hotary's hand strongly Gruesome on back. Then abruptly, the feeling of that hand vanishes in a single instant. What? Hotary's hand had changed into that of Yuni. No, that's wrong. Yuni was holding my hand and fixedly gazing at the palm. Looking at me as I inclined my head at him, Yuni suddenly got upset. I don't dislike fortune-telling. When they do the fortune-telling countdown on the morning news, I unconsciously watch it. Girls are like that, but I thought Satoru would be the type who opposes divination. He definitely seems like the kind of person to complain, saying stuff like, "Where's the scientific proof?" So I was a little surprised. Yuni took a hard look at my face. I wondered where you might have gotten that idea from. His eyes widened. While carefully observing my expression, he said, "First I have to confirm the time. Because I thought the wristwatch is in here." Yet again, he removed the watch from my right arm. Where is it this time? I checked in my pocket. Not here. The ladder of the bunk bed. Not here. Turning around, I surveyed the place. Found it. The stuffed teddy bear on the chair. The watch was wrapped around the neck of a plush toy. I take it off and put it back on my wrist. Damn it! Next time I'll definitely tell him a thing or two. It was 2:28. Ugh. I gotta sit up straight. Otherwise my back is gonna kill me. I thought that now wasn't the time for something so easygoing, but I reflexively nodded at Yuni's eager expression. Yuni scanned the palm of my
や
hand.
っぱりココロンって恋愛運あんまり良くないね。結婚は遠いかも。
え、本
うん。結婚は運命線を見ればわかるんだけど、
当？何歳ぐらいで結婚するのかな？
40代の前半。
嘘でしょ？
That was pretty hard to hear. Though it's the fortune telling of an amateur, being told something like this about yourself is quite the shock. Pulling up his glasses, Yuni continued.
でもね、今年は運命的な出会いがあるかもよ。その出会いを大切にすれば、もっと今期は早まるかも。
なんなのよ、そのかもっていうのは。いい加減なこと言って大人をからかうのは良くないわよ。
Yuni's expression quickly turned meek.
ココロンは占いってどんなものだと思う？
Somehow he almost seemed to launch into a sermon.
何よ、いきなり。
いいから答えて。
そうね、オカルトっぽいっていうか、神様にお伺いを立てるって感じかな。
そういうのもあるね。だけど手相占いとか占星術はまた別なんだよ。どっちかっていうと統計学なんだ。
統計学？
I'm not so great with scientific discussion. Just looking at numbers lined up, I get so cross-eyed.
例えば観相学ではおでこにシワの多い人はお金持ちになるって言葉があるんだけど、それはお金持ちの人を調べたらおでこにシワの多い人が多かったっていう裏付けがあるから出た結論なんだよ。
Causation does not equal correlation. Or correlation does not equal causation, my bad. Correlation does not equal causation.
ロンブローズの犯罪人類学とちょっと似てるよね。まあロンブローズは大嘘つきだったけどさ。
ちょっと待って。
Who the heck is Lombroso? It's all turned into gibberish now. Why does this child know so much about something like this? I pressed my hands to my temples. Somehow I could feel a headache coming
どう
on.
したの？
I want you to speak in more in Japanese, but I simply couldn't tell this to my child opponent.
なんでもない。続けて。
変な心でどこまで話したの？
ロンドンブーツ。じゃなかった。ロンブローゾね。
Danger, danger. I wiped away my cold
あ
sweat.
あ、そっか。ロンブローズはインチキだったけど、観相学はちゃんと信憑性があるものなんだ。サンプリング数が桁違いだからね。手相占いや占星術も同じ。数千年分も積み重ねられてきたデータの集大成なんだね。統計学って言った意味がわかるでしょ？
そうね。
When I think of typical fortune telling, no matter how I look at it, it has somewhat a shady image to it. But if you believe Yuni's words, even fortune telling has a scientific basis.
これで信じる気になって。
手相に信憑性があるのは分かったけど、ユニがちゃんと占えるかどうかはまた別の話よね。
あ、ひどいよ。
だって今期が遅いなんて信じたくないし。
Though he pouted, he immediately began to grin broadly. Somehow it seems like his glasses are shining.
それじゃあ別のこと占ってあげるよ。僕の占いは当たるんだから絶対に。
With a face that seemed serious, Yuni glared at my palm. Doesn't seem like he'll let go until he's done with the fortune telling.
生命線を見るとココロンは20歳の時に大きな事故に遭うね。
ダウト。
I lightly prodded Yuni's forehead.
何するんだよ。
今まさに遭遇中じゃない。それって飛行機事故のことでしょ。ユニったらやっぱり。
そうじゃなくて手相にもそういう風に出てるんだってば。
ズルはダメ。
While his face warped with annoyance, Yuni tightened his grip on my hand. Just say it. What is it? Suddenly his look turned
コ
serious.
ロンはもうじき死体を見るよ。
Jesus Christ. In a usually grave tone, I was surprised. If it's about corpses, I already saw him. At the gruesome crash site. I thought he was referring to that, but I was
刃
wrong.
物で刺された死体だよ。
What's he saying, this kid? I took a hard look at the eyes of the child in front of me. Yuni's eyes were round, full, clear, and so deep that I felt I was being sucked into them. I forgot to even
気を
breathe.
つけてね。
Oh my gosh. At Yuni's words, I came to my senses.
じゃないと
Oh,
刺さ
fuck!
れちゃうからさ。
It was a tone that was neither serious nor joking.
やめ そんな冗談嫌いよ。
冗談なんかじゃな。
Yuni softly caressed the surface of my hand.
これは占い。よく当たるユニの占いだよ。
Sometimes this kid becomes kind of scary. When you think he's just innocently playing with his teddy bear, all of a sudden he'll say with a grown-up face things that make you shiver. I feel an unbalance as of conflicting things coexisting. Beyond this neutral face, I wonder what kind of real nature he's hiding. He reminds me of Mario from Umineko, actually. Distant from my doubts, Yuni sweetly smiled. A carefree smile that of a child.
心に伝えられてよかった。サトルに言っても意味ないかもしれないし。
Should I trust the smiling face? Swallowing my rising anxiety, I tried to ask about something else.
さっき見たよね。私がサトルと切り替わる瞬間、どんな感じだった？
つまんない感じちょっと黙り込んだかなと思ったら急に口調が変わるんだもん。
Current chapter title is Do You Believe in Fate or something? Yes, do you believe in fate?
目がピカーッと光ったりとかすればかっこいいのにね。
あんよそれ。
At the moment of transfer, it seems no particular change happens to me on the outside. This too is similar not familiar, similar to the personalities of DAD patient switching.
そうだ。DID といえば。
I remembered Hotary. She was talking to me through writing about when her personality changes took place. Before I forgot, I thought I should check through Inubushi's file.
占い。ありがとね。
Just in case, I thanked Yuni and stood up. I took the Inubushi file Yomogi had retrieved and sat down on the wooden chair. Once again, I opened the file and looked over it many times. Psychiatric examination results. Inubushi Keiko, currently age 19. She's the serial killer who at age 17 murdered 12 innocent people at Utsumi Municipal Hospital. However, due to being diagnosed with DID, she escaped capital punishment and was sent to Sofia. Interesting. Inubushi Keiko has rewritten the history of crime in Japan in many different ways. Her case marked the largest number of lives ever taken by a serial killer who was a minor, and in the history of crime in Japan it was in the top place in terms of the number of people murdered by a female. In general, there is no precedent for a female serial killer like her. Until the murderous monster known as the Highway Lady of Death appeared in America, it was said even that women couldn't be serial killers. Of course, she was the first of her kind in Japan, and she was the first person to ever be recognized as suffering from DID in the history of criminal trials in Japan. Before that court precedent was made, there had been several criminals suspected of having DID. However, there were no such cases of trial acquittals by reason of DID until then. The reason was simple: the very existence of dissociative identity disorder had been disputed. The opinions of those in the field of psychiatry were still divided. That's why, even if brought into consideration during sentencing, it was never used as reason for a pardon. The past precedent was rewritten, and because of Inubushi Keiko, for the first time DID became a valid reason for application of Article 39 of the Penal Code. There are various reasons that she was acknowledged as suffering from DID, but the biggest one is said to have been the DSM-VI. The DSM-VI had been published just a few years earlier, their latest revision that had been issued in 2008. In the 94 edition of DSM-IV, IV, not VI. Did I say VI before? No, I did say VI. This is IV. The criteria for DID diagnosis comprise the following 4 points. 1. 2 or more distinct identities and personalities exist. To possess awareness, recognition, cognition of self and surrounding environment, as well as individual personality characteristics. 2 of these identities, having at least 2 distinct personalities, continuously showed individual behavior and conduct. Very important personal information cannot be recalled, and this by extension cannot be explained with normal forgetfulness. Or these symptoms are not directly due to the influence of the psychological effects of drugs, for example, memory loss or violent behavior due to disorientation from alcohol poisoning, or a result of other general abnormal conditions. If those 4 criteria are fulfilled, the condition is recognized as dissociative identity disorder. However, even with the establishment of the 4 criteria above, they couldn't completely rule out malingerers, which are people faking injuries for personal gain. If 2 or more personalities could be perfectly acted out, it would be acknowledged as a case of DID. There have also been those who have tried to exploit this through the misuse of psychotropic drugs. As a result, the 2008 edition of DSM-VI included the following appended criterion. 5. The above symptoms appear even while under induced hypnosis. In other words, if a different personality arises, even during hypnosis, a condition in which the patient is unable to act, they'll acknowledge it as DID. The addition of this guideline had an influence on the skeptical field of Japanese psychology. In Japan, it became accepted that a person was suffering from DID if the above 5 items were fulfilled. Inubushi Keiko had undergone an examination under hypnosis in accordance with the DSM-VI standard and was confirmed to have DID. That was acknowledged as evidence in court, and Inubushi Keiko was acquitted as a person suffering from an unsound mind. Fucking info dumps, don't you love them? I was impressed with myself for being able to clearly remember every detail they told us in class. Well, it's a topic that I like though, so it's only natural that I'd remember it. I'm interested in humans and society, that's why I decided to study criminal psychology. People are mysterious. They have the intelligence to make space travel a reality and say something like "I'm a seagull" to express that feeling. Even so, they continued the stupidity that is war and have tempers short enough to enable them to kill someone in a blind rage. They can experience deep love as well as murder the innocent. Inside a frail body that possesses neither claws nor fangs, humans are filled with chaos. Men have adventurous hearts, searching for glory by traveling to the depths of the ocean and the cosmos. My interest lies in the abyss of the human heart. And while studying criminal psychology, what attracted my interest the most was Inubushi Keiko. I turned to the next page of the file. Inubushi Keiko has dissociative identity disorder. Maybe I should review the case one more time. Why would we not review it? That's stupid. Oh. The illness is, simply put, an illness where the birth of another personality not present when the person was born occurs. There are differing opinions to the cause, but they say that being exposed to ill treatment during the development of the ego before the age of 12 is the root cause. Children can easily construct imaginary personalities in a way that resembles autosuggestion. If abused by their parents, they will seal the memories of their pain, anger, and fear within the imaginary personality in order to relieve the pain of the trauma they had suffered. In other words, they protect themselves by thinking that the one they being abused isn't them, but a different imaginary self. But the abused personality was also originally part of the self, so it's necessary to accept those memories as their own. However, the pain and suffering inflicted on the other personality is hard for the main personality to accept. Because of that, the main personality chooses to hold the memories of those suffering inside the other self. They are not able to become one, and therefore a separate independent personality is brought into existence. The inability to combine their memories into one to the point of forcing them apart into separate identities, that is dissociative identity disorder. At first, Inubushi Keiko's DID was thought to have stemmed from early childhood abuse. With that in mind, a thorough investigation was done by the leading psychologist. However, because Inubushi Keiko's mother was already deceased, there was no way to confirm the occurrence of childhood abuse as definite. But in addition to her DID, due to the confirmation that she was suffering from borderline personality disorder as well as her fragmented testimony, it was widely assumed that she had been the victim of childhood abuse. It was said that Inubushi Keiko had possessed a total of 11 personalities. For the sake of convenience, her alternate personalities had been alphabetized and assigned letters from A to J. That's weird, we've only seen one. Of course, each of her personalities were given proper names, or so it seems. I say it seems because those names were not recorded anywhere in the file. However, the doctors had also given her common names for each of the 11 personalities from A to K. 12? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K... what? Hold on. Am I dumb? Oh. Okay, each of the 11, including herself. That was because when the doctors asked for a name, the dissociative disorder would advance and her condition would deteriorate. In addition to calling them A through K for convenience, the doctors created nicknames, which they used like a code among themselves. Then I continued to think about those common names. Let's see, aside from the original, Inubushi Keiko is K, the other 10 from A to J are widely different from the original in terms of personality. H is probably Hotary. For example, C is a child, the nickname given to him by the doctor was Childhood. This was an innocent but extremely quick to cry 6-year-old boy. D is a melancholy young man. His nickname was Darkness. He tended to shut himself up and would try to hurt himself if you took your eyes off him. F was a woman in her late 20s. Her name was Frau. Extraordinarily lewd, it seems she'd even seduced the doctor who was examining her. And then the personality called J. It seems that this one is the personality of the murderous monster. The doctors referred to the shadow side as Jack the Ripper. It was most likely a trivial reference to Jack the Ripper. I'm so good, aren't I? Similar to Inubushi Keiko, a 17-year-old at the time of the incident, woman, but possessing strong destructive urges and sadistic hobbies. In other words, she derived pleasure from the act of murder. And according to the file, Jay had appeared while Inubushi was being held in an examination room where she snatched up a pair of scissors and murdered the doctor. It was also judged that the Awazumi serial murders were committed by Jay. The original personality of Inubushi Keiko was unable to stop the violence of Jay. Because of that, in accordance with Article 39 of the Criminal Code, Inubushi Keiko was judged to be of an unsound mind and was pardoned. But whether a personality known as Suzukage Hotary was included as one of the 11 inside Inubushi Keiko. Age personality, a girl with shy and calm character, age 19. She had a fondness for listening to music, so her given nickname was Hummingbird. Age Hotary. Is this personality Suzukage Hotary? Of course, there is the possibility that Suzukage Hotary is an unknown 12th personality, and in case I'm convinced that Hotary is another personality within Inubushi Keiko. Why haven't we seen any of the others other than Hotary? My reason was... Oh no. Hotary herself told me, didn't she? Cold, dark, locked up all alone, red room, enter. No, those aren't DID words. Those were perfectly consistent with the feelings expressed by other people with DID. I remembered Hotary's face. Unable to even conceive of such thing as killing 12 innocent people, a girl wearing a worried smile. I was convinced. At the same time, I feel I had to focus more clearly. I can't confirm anything besides Hotary's condition, but if she is another DID personality, then behind her lurks Inubushi Keiko, the personality of a murderous monster. Muttering that as to convince myself, I closed the file. Whom can I rely upon? Yomogi was standing in front of me, holding a cup with something steaming inside. A mischievous smile rose to my face as I reached for the cup. I thanked him as I accepted it. Instantly, Yomogi's expression made a complete change. It seemed like he didn't want to chat about such matters. Perplexed, I gave a reply. Yomogi lit up a cigarette as he sat in front of me. Blowing at the smoke with a face that looked like he was enjoying the flavor, Yomogi followed the rising tobacco smoke with his eyes. I took a sip of the coffee. Because I'd been absorbed in looking at that file, it seemed that my body had gotten cooler. The hot coffee spread warmth throughout my stomach. Yomogi started talking all again all of a sudden. Was he being a little inarticulate, or was it just my imagination? Yomogi inquired, keeping his eyes on the stove. How should I answer? My seminar teacher had given me this file as a favor. Normally contents of documents like this were confidential. I was hesitating over whether to reveal the detailed content or not, so I decided to only talk about the parts that I thought would be okay to reveal. Yomogi spoke in an unexpectedly forceful tone.
僕が聞きたいのはなんというか、そいつは悪党なのかということだ。12人もの人間を殺してなおそいつの命は守られているが、果たして法律で守らなくてはならないほどの価値がある人間なのか。
それは
What was he trying to say?
ああ、いや、特に深い意味はないんだ。
Yomogi may have thought he was confusing me as he hesitated and then shrugged his shoulders. Tossing his cigarette into the stove, he lowered his voice and
さっ
continued.
き27人もの遺体を見ただろう。ちょっとナーバスになっちゃってさ。
Yomogi scratched his head embarrassedly. Certainly, seeing that crash site would be enough to make you really think deeply about life. It can change how a person views life and death. I became a bit confused as well. Yomogi may have seemed calm at the time, but he may have only been desperately trying to bear it. While flipping through the file quickly, I had to decide now how to reply to Yomogi. I told him what I honestly felt.
犬伏恵子は悪いことをしたと思います。あまりにもひどいことをしたと。ただ彼女の行為は悪ですが、彼女自身の善悪については分かりません。分からないから調べてみたいと思うんです。どうしてそんなひどいことができたのか。
Hearing my answer, Yomogi replied with only one phrase. That was his answer. Then he mused my hair with his
な
hand.
ら生きて帰らないと。
はい。
さてと、火が弱まってきたな。
After standing up, he gave a big stretch. The stove's flame had lost its vigor. It needed to be replenished with firewood from the basement.
あ、そうそう。結城道君がボイスレコーダーに何か吹き込んでたらしい。君宛てのメッセージじゃないのか。もう一人の人格が何をしているのかわからないなんて DID ってのは辛いな。
Leaving his words mixed with the sigh, Yomogi descended into the
ど
basement.
うしたんだろう、よもぎさん。
Yomogi's back looked a little lonely as he climbed down the ladder. Once you're in your 30s, you probably have a lot to think about. Oh, I can't just sit here. I have to listen to the message from Satoru. Did he find an answer that could help resolve this phenomenon? Groping in my pocket, I searched for the voice
お
recorder.
い、眉住、
Yomogi's loud voice ran from the
ちょ
basement.
っと手伝ってくれ。
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Did I make the wrong choice? Izumi had curled up on the bed, made an openly reluctant face.
なんで私なのよ。
いいから頼むよ。
そっちの女に頼めばいいでしょ。
She glared in my direction. I panicked and stood up. It seems I should try to help Yomogi-san. Thinking that, I tried calling down to the basement. And from the stairs that led to the basement, Yomogi's head popped up. He lifted the firewood up and laid it on the floor.
もういいよ。
Looks like he managed to finish by himself.
すいません、気がつかなくて。
いいって。
Yomogi laughed gently. Forgetting myself, I took out the VR. There were 2 new data entries. First, I played Data 1.
ああ、俺だ。サトルだ。ユニから聞いたよ。墜落現場に行ったらしいな。俺は不器用だから。ただ一つだけ、心。今、お前が生きてる意味をよく考えてほしい。亡くなった人の命を取り戻すことはできない。過ぎてしまったことはどうすることもできないんだ。でも少なくともお前は生きている。生き残ったことには必ず意味があるはずだ。俺はそう思う。だから今はただお前に頭のいいお前のことだ。これだけ言えばわかるよ、心。どうか気を落とさないでくれ。お前は一人ぼっちなんかじゃないんだ。俺はいつでもお前のそばにいる。直接触れ合うことはできないけど、俺とお前は一心同体みたいなものなんだから。だから俺がついてると思って安心してくれ。それじゃあな。
Data 1 ended there. Somehow I'm kind of embarrassed, and more than that, happy. Satoru was worrying about me. Knowing that I went to the crash site and was feeling down, he tried to cheer me up.
今 お前が生きてる意味をよく考えてほしい。
That is what Satoru said. I survived, and I'm still alive here to now. That's why, as long as I'm still alive, I'll give my all to live. Even if I don't understand the reason why. Continuing, I played Data 2. However, why did he purposely divide the message into 2 parts? Once again, my voice flows out.
心、言い忘れたことがあった。聞いてくれ。多分すぐには信じてもらえないと思うけど、今心はこう思ってるんだよな。今年は2011年だって。だけどそうじゃないんだ。心のいる世界は1年後の2012年なんだよ。
The fuck?
疑うんなら周りのやつに聞いてもらっても構わない。でもこれは厳然たる事実なんだ。受け入れてほしい。だからユニのことも。
なになに？僕のことがどうかした？
Wait, what? It's the 11 and 12 again. So it's, right now it's 2012? Then what is it in Svea? What was she gonna say about Yuni? Or Satoru, rather. Huh? It ended there? I was surprised and shocked at the same time. The world I'm in now is the year 2012? What is he saying? Today is January 13th, 2011. On New Year's Day of this year, I received a New Year's card that read Happy 2011 written on it, along with an illustration of the rabbit of the Chinese zodiac. Why did he make such a simple misunderstanding? If you don't believe me, then you can ask the people around you. That's what he told me.
そこまで言うなら聞いてやろうじゃないの。
I tried asking while looking over at the three of them.
皆さん、
All three focused their gazes on me.
つかぬことをお聞きしますが、今年は何年でしょうか?
At once, the three faces shifted to an expression that seemed to say, huh?
おいおい、どうしたって言うんだ？いきなり。
ついに脳みそまで行かれちゃったの？
Yuni blinked in surprise.
答えて。
2011年だ。
I looked over at Izumi, who was wrapped up in a blanket.
2011年よ。
Yes. I looked at Yuni.
2011年。
Yes! Which means it's 2012 at Svea. Which means Svea's a year after... Svea's a year after what happened at the mountain. The crash. I was satisfied with the answer. This proved that this year was the year 2011. As I thought, Satoru must have misunderstood something. I don't know how the misunderstanding occurred, but that should clear it up. I went to the basement to record my message. The three of them wordlessly stared at me in blank amazement. I took the VR out of my pocket.
心です。メッセージ聞きました。どうして今年が2012年だなんて言うの？今年は2011年だよ。勘違いなんてあなたらしくない。ちょっと休んだら？みんなにも聞いてみたけど、今年は2011年だって言ってた。繰り返すけど、今年は絶対2011年だよ。
I paused the recording, and after thinking a while, I pressed the recording button down once
推
again.
進、腕時計外すのやめてよね。腕時計は腕にはめるから腕時計って言うんだ。
Having finally told him about the thing which had been bothering me for a long time, I felt a bit satisfied. Foo. A smile naturally followed. Returning to the first floor, the three upstairs were eyeing me from a distance. They had huddled together, whispering to each other. Perhaps my behavior was too suspicious for them to overlook. But thinking to myself that this wouldn't be the first time, I became defiant. Because of my personality exchange with Satoru, those watching from around us would probably think my speech and conduct were suspicious. Nothing will come of it, even if I tried to smooth things over now. In order to conserve my strength, I laid down, pulling a blanket over my head as I did. I opened my eyes and all of a sudden it had become dark outside. It seems that I slept for longer than I thought. Everyone was staying quietly in their own locations as well. Looks like nothing out of the ordinary has happened. It may have been because of my peace of mind, but my drowsiness overcame me once again. When's the stabbing gonna happen? That's what I want to know. Turning on my light because it's dark in here and it's getting creepy. I'm checking under my bed to make sure I'm hiding it. Make sure, because I'm fucking terrified. I'm probably cutting out because I'm standing up and stuff, so if you didn't hear what I said, don't, it doesn't matter. As I begin to doze off. Yep. It's the swap. Chain-link spiral. Well, guys and gals, thank you for watching. This has been part 3 of Remember 11. I appreciate everybody that's been in the chat talking with me. It's been fun, and I really love this, really loving this visual novel. It's great. How far are we? We are 20% done. Awesome. Now, if that's 20% done the entire game, that's pretty crazy. Because that means that in just over 40 hours of playtime, it'll be over. Completely done. Interesting. Cool. So next time on Remember 11, which will probably be in 2 more days, 2 or 3 days, we'll do Chain Link Spiral, and we'll continue on. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.